I'm Joseph Mercier, and I'm the Artistic Director of Panic Lab and one of the co-founders.
And I'm Clara Girard, and I'm a performer and a producer in Panic Lab, and also one of the co-founders.
So it's kind of physical theatre, dance theatre company, and it's comprised of a bunch of company members from kind of different backgrounds, different movement backgrounds, and we kind of came together out of an interest of making work that's politically informed, that deals with kind of the politics of the body and the sociology of the body. Tuga is about one of the performers and co-founders of the company, one of her experiences, which was in the early mid-90s when she was living here in London, and she's Bosnian, and the war broke out in Bosnia in her home in Tuzla. The show is her perspective on the war, kind of from afar. So it was inspired by her story and also some writing of Judith Butler, a book she wrote called Frames of War and Precarious Life, which deals a lot with vulnerability and political autonomy and kind of dependency on other bodies for safety, for shelter, for recognizing humans as humans. So she asks, whose lives count as lives?
We decided the war in Bosnia would have something, a place in that show, but the process really delved into everyone's vulnerability and everyone trying to define what it is or what's interesting about it, what there is to say about grieving or about our reactions to things on the TV and, you know, in the medias, etc. So it was quite a long process from the summer till now. So, you know, 4 or 5 months of us as a company really delving into these questions and dealing with very personal material, and then editing out and finding what it is, what's the best way of saying all of that with just one story. We were asked in rehearsal to just create some material, anything. And I thought about one of the stories where Zlata was explaining that her father had carried his sister's body, so her aunt, who had died not because of the war, I think she was ill, but he had to go and bury her. And there was snipers around, and so imagining this body walking through the streets and trying not to get shot just to bury his sister. And so that image stuck with me, and I interpreted it with this umbrella walk of tiptoeing around umbrella. And that's kind of what I offered. And I think that's what defines my character, is that walk and that hiding from the dangers.
The final kind of fall and fit, which we've nicknamed like kind of the rabies dance, because it's just like I have rabies and I'm just a bit out of control. Well, not a bit, I'm really out of control. That's kind of Zlata becoming beside herself, the grief and the anger and the rage spilling out and overflowing. The whole beginning where I constantly moving is kind of supposed to be Zlata or me trying to keep it in. So then the final kind of burst is that control just collapsing and everything exploding out. We'd like to make work, I think, that's challenging and that requires a bit of work to get, but that is also accessible, and that if you engage with it, you can understand it, or you can get it, or you can argue with it. We always seem to tell stories. Stories come from somewhere, from us mostly, and those stories seem to also help with the accessibility, and people can start to make connections, and it kind of makes it more explicit what the show is doing, or what the show's about, or where the argument of the show is.
The reason we make theatre is because we've got something to say, and what we really want is for that to happen, that, you know, that we are heard, but also that there's an exchange. The most exciting part, I think, is coming out of a show where there's people there ready to talk to you about what you've just said, because our shows are political. We do have a statement, and it's really strong when people come to disagree or agree with it, or just to be surprised about it. But that's the strongest thing for us.
The next thing is to develop Tuga into a full-length show or a full-length experience. We're not sure, but this is kind of a first try of Tuga, and then it needs to become something more. And we're hoping to tour it. We'd like to take it to the Balkans and to Bosnia.
We're also looking to develop an outreach branch to do more workshops, because it's just a different form of engaging with audiences and of working with the body. One is doing these shows, and another is actually getting people to do stuff with their bodies and guiding them through methods that we use to explore material stories, and hopefully by the end of the year something will be up and running.
Thank you guys, great job.